We have a breaking update from Southern University following the death of the student named Caleb Wilson. University leaders issued a statement in the last half hour condemning hazing and saying it will not be tolerated. And this all stems from their internal investigation into Wilson's death. The WFBI team also uncovered new information tied to this case. Sources with direct knowledge of the investigation tell the I-team Caleb Wilson was punched before he collapsed just last week. Those sources say the story that fraternity members told to police officers about his death happening at a Breck Park, well, that was fabricated. Sources said pledges with Omega Psi Phi were actually at a warehouse in Baton Rouge when Wilson was punched in the chest and collapsed during an unsanctioned fraternity ritual. He was later pronounced dead by doctors at an area hospital. The hospital contacted Baton Rouge police, which launched an investigation.
First of all, I want to start this off by saying rest in peace to Caleb Wilson. This was a bright young man with a bright future that should still be here today, and what happened should not have happened. And before I go any further, let me go into more detail and explain some of the things that I've seen in regards to this situation. So I've seen some different updates across social media, and I just want to give out some more information. So first, what I see is hospital officials were originally told Caleb collapsed while playing basketball at the park. This didn't make sense because it was 2:40 in the morning. It turns out that he was in fact punched multiple times in the chest. So there's probably, going to his body. One of the guys involved, Caleb McCray, turned himself in last night and was charged with criminal hazing and manslaughter. There's also 2 other suspects that they're looking into. At no point in time did anyone attempt to call emergency medical services to give Caleb aid. More than likely, the reason for that was they started panicking. He wasn't looking good. They probably weren't sure if he was alive or going to make it, and they didn't want to call the authorities because they didn't want to get themselves in trouble. This situation is going to be more and more interesting because in these types of situations, when you're going to set and all these other kinds of things, and more than likely in this situation, there was at least 10 people there, probably closer to 15 to 20 people that were there. But more than likely, at least 10 people were there. So you have the guys running things that are, determining what's going to happen. And then you have the guys that are online. And Southern University is a larger, more popular HBCU. And those bigger schools tend to have longer lines. So there was more than likely quite a few people in this warehouse room on this particular day. So a lot of people were there. A lot of people saw what happened. The question is going to become, who's going to say what? Who's going to take a deal? Who's going to testify? Who's going to plead out? And as a result of this, there's been a lot of talk about Divine Nine organizations and hazing. And God, can we have an honest conversation about this? When you are on a college campus, more often than not, the particular process, not everything, but a good amount of the process involving the chapter of the organization that you want to be a part of at that school. It's not a secret. Everybody that wants to know has some idea of how it goes down at that particular school with that particular chapter. And so in terms of what takes place, it's not a secret. We all know, and people go into it, going through with it, knowing not exactly, but having a very good idea of what is to come. The question I have is, can we realistically expect anything different going forward? Because there have been people speaking against certain practices for a long time now. And as time has gone by, what we've seen is a more thoughtful way of going through a particular process, right? So you're still going to have to, in a lot of cases, deal with certain things. It's just it'll be done with more awareness because they don't want anything tragic to happen to you, but the process is still more or less the process. And when you have individuals who were taught a certain way, who experienced certain things, and certain things they had to go through in order to get on, it's going to be difficult for you to tell them that the people that's coming after them don't have to do what they had to do to get in. So just like realistically, what is the likelihood that things change? And if we're going to be just 100% honest, like let's have an honest conversation. How many people actually truly believe that certain things should be done away with entirely? I'll talk about people on the inside. How many people on the inside of organizations feel as though certain things should be done with, period? Not less, not doing it in a way that's more careful, done away with completely. Because ultimately that's what it comes down to. But once again, rest in peace, Caleb Wilson. This young man was not the first person to go through this particular situation. The question is, will he be the last?